Good morning, everybody. My name is Ing, and we are here for the Praise You chat with Susan Hapgood today. She is the executive director of ISCP, which is, hello, ISCP and Susan Hapgood. I'm just introducing you, Susan. Give me 1 second. So Susan Hapgood is the executive director of ISCP, which is the International Studio and Curatorial Program based out in East Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And she has been the leader of this wonderful organization for several years, and I am a very proud board member, and I'm also really grateful today that she is able to join us. Hi, Karen. Good morning, everybody. Hi. I'm going to wave to everybody. All right, Susan, let's get to it. I'm going to put you on. I'm going to wait for you to come on. What's up, Mac? Good morning. Hey, Shaw. Hi, Connie.
Hey.
Hi, Susan. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's that cool work of art behind you?
Well, it just so happens to be my stage set. It is a work of art by an artist named Brett De Palma. Sorry, actually, you can see all of it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a very cool. I guess it's 4 prints that go together that I bought.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying.
Awesome.
Okay.
It's all right.
All right.
You tell me when you're settled. Settle in. I know this is your first IG Live.
Yes. It is. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure my face is in there. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready.
Nice. Everybody, Susan Hapgood.
Thank you.
Good morning with my cup of tea. What? Yeah. Is that
cup of coffee? Got my
lovely.
Coffee.
And where are you right now? You're not in New York City.
No, I am upstate New York in the sticks in a town called Long Eddy. 2 words, Long Eddy.
Long Eddy. Okay.
Yeah. So it's along the border with Pennsylvania, sort of where the borderline of New York State. I always like to say it goes diagonally and then it turns straight. You know, where it has that kind of, it's sort of right at that spot.
Got it.
So it's in the middle of nature, very rural, lots of animals, lots of greenery, and actually snow on the ground this morning.
Yeah, I saw there was snow up in Maine earlier this morning too.
It's
April.
Really.
So, nice. Susan, how are you doing on a personal level, emotional level?
I'm doing okay. I mean, it's been, I would say, up and down. Right now, I feel okay. I mean, alternately feeling the weight of the world and the horrible things that are happening to so many people all over the place. I have particular connections to India, as you know. So I'm sort of poised, very worried about what's going to happen there. It doesn't seem to be, I mean, maybe I'm not following the inside news, but anyway, I'm doing okay. Up and down.
Okay. Well, up and down. I think that's generally how I've been too. So for those who may not know about ISCP and your role at ISCP, can you give us a brief rundown?
Sure. Well, I'm executive director. ISCP is an organization, it's a nonprofit organization that caters to artists and curators. We support their professional and creative development, and they come from all over the world. We have a New York part, so that's called the ground floor, and we have an international program, and we're in this big old printing factory, as you said, in Brooklyn. And we also do public programming. We do exhibitions and talks. So as you can imagine, most of that is in a very different state at the moment.
Right, and we'll get to that. I'm very curious to hear how that's working out. Are you guys hearing feedback? Because I am. From me. No? If everything's okay, say you're okay?
I have my connection can get wonky, though. I'm warning you. I hope it'll be okay.
Well, you look okay. I mean, like, your resolution is okay. It's just the feedback. We'll keep going. So for ISCP, it's a 25-year-old institution.
Yes, 26 now.
Oh, 26-year-old. Yeah, right. The anniversary was last year.
Yeah.
And it was founded as my little elevator pitch is always that it's kind of like a UN for the art world. It's where, international artists come together. They're doing physical residencies next door to each other, and they have amazing programming from your curators and from your team, and you bring in outside curators and scholars to visit as well.
Yes.
So it's more than just a physical space. It's really like an incubator, a place for people to come and think and have a little bit of a break from what might be happening in their countries or environment. And also, for the most part, these artists are sponsored by their government.
Yes, correct. Most of them. Yeah, I would say about 60 to 70% of them are sponsored by their governments, and it's mostly people from Europe and Asia. A few people from South America, and we are increasingly working on, as you know, efforts to bring artists from Africa as well.
So, why don't you go ahead and tell us how it's been like for ISCP and the artists since COVID-19 hit New York?
Sure. It's really hairy when it first started hitting. We were realizing that we were going to have to work from home. And what did that mean? We did social distancing in the beginning, like everyone else. And then very quickly, we realized we all had to shelter at home. And at the same time, of course, we had to help any of the artists in residence who wanted to go back to their original countries. So we had to be there for them and help them in any way they needed to be helped. But then we also very quickly realized, I felt very strongly that the institution didn't have to fold, and that we could transition to digital platforms as much as possible, which of course was not what everyone did. But we were able to continue the visiting critics, which is one of the hallmarks of the program for the artists and curators in residence. So they get to have these meetings. Usually they would have them one-on-one in the physical space, but now they have them digitally, which is really not kind of a seamless transition. And the public talks that are given by the artists, usually twice a month, we've transitioned to Instagram Live. So we've had a few of those now. We've had 3 of those now. And then we also, there's something we have called One Artist, One Work, where a resident actually invites the community, the residential community, not the public, to their studio for about 1 hour. And we've continued that also. So internally, we have these gatherings. We still have our staff meetings. We have Google Hangouts with the artists. So I would say that I also, we all realized that the community that ISCP forms for the artists is probably one of the most valuable parts. And that in a time of such incredible anxiety and risk, that pulling together and tightening that community was a smart thing to do, and comforting thing to do for all of us. So we've done that. And I'd say, I like to say that it feels just as close as when we were physically in the same space, because we are connecting so much and so often. Yeah. Right. And inspiring one another, I have to say.
Well, I've been watching the ISCP Instagram Live and all the online programming, and it's been great. Huda's done a great job.
Yay, Huda. And yay, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. So even before COVID-19, I would say, during the last presidential election, I felt like this renewed sense of urgency for an organization like ISCP, with all this xenophobia going on in our current administration and all around the world. It just seemed like being able to bring artists from all of these countries together into one place to focus on a common denominator, which was creativity, art, artistic practice. That felt vital and important then. And now with the pandemic, there's a different kind of need. But are you addressing that at all with your community?
I think that, it's a different kind of need, but also the same need. I think that I mean, the xenophobia, the increasing isolationism, the protectionism, the nationalist impulses that are happening around the world, and especially in our country, I think need a counter narrative, and we provide that. And we just by our very nature, by our very DNA, we provide that. So cultural exchange, I think, is more critical. I mean, I think it's always extremely important to the world and the benefits of all people. But now more than ever, it's important. And, what we haven't gotten into what's going to happen in the future, but I think that we don't need, I mean, yes, we need to come up with contingency plans if this pandemic continues to force travel bans and things like that. And also all the immigration and visa issues are, not looking really daunting at the moment. But there are still ways to bridge that and not to just accept that. And as Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. I think we need to really step forward and step up and be loud and talk about what it is that we do and why we do it. So, I'm all for that right now.
Do you think that ISCP programming, I mean, Trump said last night or this morning, right, that they are suspending visas or green cards. Remember, sorry.
Well, he tried to stop all immigration, and then he changed it to, I guess, what he can do, which is green cards right now, I guess.
I think it's green cards, right. But across the board, immigration is being affected, and this probably will affect future visiting artists and curators to ISCP over the course of the next 6 months, 12 months, who knows. Do you think ICP is going to have to adjust with its online programming as well to accommodate artists who may not be able to come in?
Yes, and how we're going to do that, we don't know yet. We are in the middle of brainstorming about that. I mean, what we had to do also, not to sound like what we had to do was very quickly try and assess, what does this mean? And since all of our partner, we have like 100 different partners that we work with. Nobody can say what's going to happen. So it's really difficult to try and predict. But
do you think that ISCP programming, I mean, Trump said last night or this morning, right, that they are suspending visas or green cards. Remember, sorry.
Well, he tried to stop all immigration. And then he changed it to, I guess, what he can do, which is green cards right now, I guess.
I think it's green cards, right. But across the board, immigration is being affected, and this probably will affect future visiting artists and curators to ISCP over the course of the next 6 months, 12 months, who knows. Do you think ISCP is going to have to adjust with its online programming as well to accommodate artists who may not be able to come in?
Yes, and how we're going to do that, we don't know yet. We are in the middle of brainstorming about that. I mean, what we had to do also, not to sound like what we had to do was very quickly try and assess, what does this mean? And since all of our partner, we have like 100 different partners that we work with. Nobody can say what's going to happen. So it's really difficult to try and predict, but that is what we're trying to do. And yes, figuring out how we can continue to inspire and continue to fulfill our mission while being flexible and being nimble. But we don't have the answers yet. I can say that. And everybody, we are part of a group called the Rethinking Residencies, which Carrie Conti was one of the co-founders of. And that group also has been convening regularly and talking, and everybody's scratching their heads trying to figure out, okay, how's this going to work? I mean, New York City is, I can't picture that New York City is going to stop being a cultural center. Whether people can come there, I should say, I'm not there physically. I don't know. I mean, it's really difficult to predict what's going to happen. But I do think we need to be innovative, and we need to be really flexible and figure out what we're going to do. Yeah.
For those who are just joining, this is Susan Hapgood, Executive Director of ISCP, International Studio Curatorial Program in Brooklyn. And we're talking about the role of international artists, institutions like ISCP. So that's still international right now, Susan. With your background in India and running ISCP, what is your outlook right now on the practice of artists internationally? I know that's a very broad question, but do you feel that, with this pandemic and with everything that's happened over the last few years, is there a type of engagement within artists all over the world that you see as kind of a common factor?
Well, I mean, I hate to put artists in the position of being like, the magicians, the problem solvers, or but I do believe that if they choose to, that they are indeed visionaries, that they are able to synthesize really complicated information, that they are able to provide counter narratives, new visions, that I always like to say that, I mean, it sounds a little silly, but I do think that artists have some of the most sensitive and long antenna out there in the world, and that they are extremely vulnerable in some ways because many of them really don't have much income, and they're, trying to get recognition in the middle of, so many challenges. But on the other hand, I do think that they truly are visionaries, and I have my little quote here that. I've said before, but I quoted again in a recent email, which was from Holland Cotter, who was the keynote speaker at our symposium in the fall. And he said, art has the ability to embody complex truths, absorb fear, and preserve memory. And I just love that quote. I mean, it's a little bit, all over the place, but it's true. And I do think that artists have incredible empathy. I mean, not all artists. Some are like, in their, very, very narrow path of what they're doing. And it's not fair to say they have to solve the problems. But no, artists are super important. And I was just reading the NEA. I was reading on the NEA's website that art and culture provide 4.5% of the GDP or something in our country. And there have been so many studies that prove social benefits with arts. There's all kinds of stuff that art does and artists do that are so important.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have a question. I know that. That's why I'm on the board. That's why I believe in ISCP. It's incredible if anyone has a chance to visit when society reopens again. ISCP has open studios.
I should have that year. I don't have that handy, but it's July. Actually, maybe somebody can post it. One of the staff members. It's late in July, and we are hoping very much that we are going to be able to do it. Based on current plans, it looks like it's possible.
Oh, that's wonderful. I hope so. Fingers crossed. But ISCP is a massive building, artist studios, and typically the public is not. It's not a public space unless there are public programs.
July 21st and 22nd, Carrie's con.
Oh, great. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
But it really is kind of, this one stop to see artists from all over the world in their practice, speak with them, and get insights on what they're doing. And it's not just artists, curators as well, right?
Yes.
So you have that dialogue.
About 5% of the residents are curators.
Nice.
So they add an incredibly great mix to who's there too. Yeah, and it's a huge building. It's an old printing factory. It's like an old Soho loft kind of building. Big high ceilings, lots of daylight. The space is really gorgeous, and each resident has their own individual workspace, and so they are there to talk to you, and so to get to come in, see the art, talk to the artists. And one of my favorite bragging points about ISCP is that the interest level and the incredible, what's the right word? I mean, I hate to say caliber because it sounds like you're ranking, but the art is really accomplished. And
go ahead and brag.
A little bit of bragging.
Tell us who's come through. Tell the world.
16 of the Venice Biennale's artists that represented their countries, or I think 2 of them were in the big pavilion show, were at the Venice Biennale. The recent one. So every Venice Biennale, which is a really, it's a good pulse taker, if you will, of how things are going. We generally have 10 to 15 or more of our alumni are representing their countries. So there's really incredible stuff to see and people to talk to.
There is. There is. Well, we have about 12 minutes left, so I'm just going to put it out here right now. If anyone has questions for Susan, please put in the comments, and we'll get to it in a little bit. In the meantime, I want to ask you, Susan, what have you found to give solace or provide comfort during this time? Are there things, books or things that you've read, things on social media that you've enjoyed?
I mean, I think it's kind of nothing, not rock science here. Sorry.
Rocket.
I can speak rocket science.
More coffee. Yeah,
more coffee. The Peloton app. I thought the Peloton app was just for biking. There's a 90-day free trial on Peloton. And I just do every morning. I choose. There's like 9 different things. I do yoga. I do strength training, body weight strength training. I don't have weights, so I do the body weight stuff. I do it every morning because to counterbalance the cookies and the banana bread and all the stuff that I've been
stones that you see all there.
I mean, and also I say my friends and my family, and I have to do a shout out to my sister. Are you in Wellesley, Ing?
I'm in Brookline.
Okay, so you're close. My sister lives in Wellesley. Yeah. She's a respiratory therapist at Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital. So I have to say, I mean, I feel incredibly, when you said solace, I can't say it's solace. I worry about her. But being there to be her supporter as much as I can, whenever she calls, I drop whatever I'm doing to hear how she's doing. What else? The residents, too. They are really sustaining. I mean, it's amazing to be surrounded by these people. And I wanted to mention that they are giving art to, there's an initiative where artists are supporting health centers and hospitals, and the residents are going to participate in that. And then there's another initiative we're trying to get them involved with too, but they want to help. They want to help the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Christine.
There was a question from Matthew Paul Carey. Do you think a Brooklyn resident would be a good fit for the ISCP program?
A Brooklyn resident. Yes, we have the ground floor program. Apply to that. And there's a chance that we're going to have a lot more space in the coming year. Yeah. And that New York artists may have might be easier to get into ISCP based on the fact that we're going to have probably fewer foreigners in there. So yes, Brooklyn artists come, and also come to our programs. Come see what it's like when we're back open. Come to some of our Tuesday night programming.
I agree. That's so interesting, right? Thinking that there actually might be more studio space in the short-term future for local artists.
Yeah, and studio space in New York is really not easy to come by. So
Can you talk a little bit about the financial structure of an ISCP residency?
Sure. If you're in the international program, then there is there's a fee that has to be paid by your sponsor to cover all of the program benefits. And then your sponsor also provides money to you for all of your living and travel and such expenses. You find a place to live off-site, and we provide the program and the space for working. If you're in the ground floor program, the fee is actually lower because the benefits are somewhat, there are fewer benefits. And in that case, you get the commitment of the studio for 1 year with the option to renew a second year. So it's kind of like 2 years of studio space, and it is subsidized. So it's not quite market rate. It's below market rate. And we work very hard to get funding to subsidize and offset that money. And we hope that we'll get even more. And hopefully the idea was that one day it'll be free, just like the international program is, where there's sponsorship. So one day we can hope.
And when you say sponsorship, again, that can be your government, that can be a foundation, it can be a mixture of all of this.
Yes, it can. It can be. I mean, we don't want people to pay for themselves in the international program, and there has to be a selection process for the international program. So they're parallel programs, but they do overlap a lot. There's lots of social gatherings between the two programs too. And increasingly they integrate, which is, so for the international people coming, having people that are on the ground, so to speak, that know the New York art scene is like yet other ways to connect. So whether that will continue exactly that way in the future, I mean, I'm sure some of the benefits will stay the same, but then yes, there's going to be more probably digitally for sure. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a great undertaking. ICP is the second physical largest residency program in the world, something like that.
Fourth largest in the world.
Largest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work to put together, as I've seen behind the scenes with Susan and her incredible team, and they are so passionate about the work they do and the artists that come through. I'm so honored to be a part of it. Yeah,
we have an amazing staff. There are 7 of us, and we have an amazing
staff. And they're like all on right now. Alexander actually says ground floor open call opening in late summer, early fall for those who are interested.
Yeah, New York-based artists. Yeah. You don't have to be New York born, but New York-based. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because actually we're going to have Shah Puyan on in a couple of weeks, and he's a ground floor artist, but yes. From Tehran.
Yes.
So, you can kind of fit in the cup, you can fit in either international or ground floor depending on your situation.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I should mention that some of the funding that comes in, the Department of Cultural Affairs is a real shot in the arm for the ground floor program, and they have encouraged us, and so presumably there will be more room for ground floor, I think. Well,
let's talk about funding for a second. There was a report yesterday in the Times that the DCA is probably going to experience cuts, and probably across the whole spectrum of arts funding, right, as a lot of resources go towards healthcare and anything else that is urgently necessary. How do you see that affecting ISCP, and what can we all do to help support?
Give money. No. Well, I mean, we need all the help we can get, for sure. We need individual supporters. We are absolutely growing the individual foundation of individual supporters in New York and elsewhere. That is something that has been a steady growth with your incredible leadership, I have to say. We haven't talked about how important you've been to the organization. And then, we are applying for more. We're chasing after grants constantly. We probably do have to look at our financial model and figure out, how can we be, again, innovative and possibly look for new income streams, possibly earned income, which is allowed. We don't really have much earned income.
Right.
So, we have to look at all of that. It's and also cutting expenses. But we still have all of our staff, I'm happy to say. We have not furloughed anyone. And we did get a PPP grant, which is major.
Yes, that's right. Congrats.
Major. Thank you, amazing. Flanagan. Thank you.
Yes, that was such good news. Well, actually, for those who, we still have a few minutes left, can you talk about when Dennis Elliott founded ICP, that financial model that he put together was so good for that point in time, right? And how much that's changed and how much we've had to adjust to the model.
Yeah. Well, he founded it in 1994, just at the point when the PS1 residency program was closing down. And so there was this it was a good moment, and all of this foreign support shifted, and he attracted many more new sponsors, new foreign governments to send people to New York. And it was a great moment. There was not that much competition. There were not that many other residency programs. But now it's a great model. And, the more the merrier. It's not like it's a problem that there are so many other residency programs in New York. It's great. But, that means that we've had to be innovative and think of new ways to bring in funding. Yeah. And, the budget has grown. The benefits have grown. It has given us the time to evolve in a way that, is a very organic process leading to what are the benefits that we know are the best. What do the artists want? We can't do everything they want all the time, but we know what they do want, and we regularly ask them and assess and reassess what we're doing. So.
Well, in the last few minutes, let's talk about the Dennis Elliott Founders Fund and what that goes towards.
All right. Dennis Elliott is our wonderful founder and also a board member who is totally, still very much involved. It is dedicated to bringing artists and curators from parts of the world that don't normally have cultural funding. So it has focused on Africa. And actually that has jump-started, which is definitely part of the idea. It has jump-started increasing support for residencies from Africa. And I can't spill the beans yet, but there's going to be a major announcement in a few weeks about a new African initiative, which I will stop right there, zip it. So the Dennis Elliott, the Dennis Elliott Founders Fund, though, has very much had to do with getting that off the ground. And so there is there's money allocated in the fund right now, also waiting for yet another African initiative, another African residency. So there's going to be more. And then after that one, whether we will pivot to another part of the world or another kind of practice that is not funded, probably another part of the world that is not funded, we're behind the scenes talking about where that will be. But what it does do is it shows that ISCP recognizes that it's not an even playing field in the art world at all. And yet there is art flourishing all over the place, not necessarily in places where there's money to support it. And so we want to be able to offer what we can to places where there's great art being made.
Right. Very excited for all of that.
Yeah. And in his honor.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah. We have 1 minute. So last questions, put them in. Hi, Juliana.
Hi, Juliana.
But yes, I mean, the work that ISCP has done has been really outstanding. And I just encourage everyone who has an interest in international art, which is probably everybody in the art world, to look at the history of ISCP and the artists that have come through. It's very impressive.
Yeah, our website is iscp-nyc.org.
Yeah. Oh, there. And then the Ritzel Art Prize.
The Ritzel Innovative Philanthropy. It's going to be announced May 7th.
It's very exciting. So, yeah, everyone, thank you. Yes. And okay, thank you so much. I think we are now out of time, but I appreciate you, Susan, and you did great on your first Instagram Live.
This will be
up for 24 hours. You're welcome. This will be up for 24 hours, and then we will put it up on YouTube, hopefully. That's my always. A couple of them have not made it on the upload, but it's fine. I'm just improvising.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's so great you're doing it.
Yeah. Well, have a wonderful time, and I'll hopefully see you really soon in the city.
All right.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.